Hi guys, so I wanted to talk about this seriously for the last 8 years, and I haven't talked to really a whole lot of people about it. My good friends know about it, and now my family knows as of 3 weeks ago. But I've talked about it since I was 15, my story of why, and it's basically my why. I always preach about find your why, and that's why I have my business for training. My name of my business is Find Your Why, and I'm gonna go into explaining why that is, my background, everything that happened to me, and why I literally am the way I am today, what shaped me and stuff. And this is gonna be probably a pretty long video, so if you do want to watch it and listen to the full thing, it's a very vulnerable, I'm literally telling my whole life right here. So if you do want to listen to it, I'd probably set aside 30 minutes to listen to all of this. But my whole entire fitness journey, I have posted about how one day I want to be able to talk about why I started lifting, why everything is the way it is now, why I am who I am. And it's really taken me seriously 8 years for me to be able to do this and be able to talk about it. So I'm just gonna go into it. Most people know me. A lot of people know my background kind of, except the people I met recently down in the cities. I grew up in Grand Rapids, Minnesota. I don't know, I started lifting when I was 15 and competed when I was 16 in figure. Just for a little background, I kind of just in high school and stuff didn't really do a whole lot with my friends. I was super focused on doing my own thing and the gym, and that was my thing. And people kind of quit talking to me because I was always at the gym and stuff, and just knew that I wasn't really gonna do anything with them. So I'm gonna start from when I was 13. Before this, everything in my life had been pretty normal. I was just a 12-year-old, 13-year-old girl, in middle school. I think that was I don't know, 7th grade maybe. My parents got divorced when I was 6, so they haven't been together. And my step parents, I've had the same stepmom and stepdad since that time too, when I was 6, and they have been awesome. So when I was 13, every single year I would go down to Okoboji, Iowa with my dad and my cousins, so my dad's side of the family, and my 2 sisters and my brother. And so we'd be down there, and I had a boyfriend at this time. I was dating this guy named Gage from the time I was 12 till I was 16, and he's still one of my best friends to this day. So I was dating him, and we were down in Okoboji. Our phones, no one's phones really worked down there, just had really bad service. So every single night I told him I was gonna try and talk to him, and my sisters and my brother and my cousins had boyfriends and girlfriends and stuff, or just wanted to check their phones. So every night we would go down to this hotel and just sit down there and use their Wi-Fi, text people back, whatever. And so this one night came, and I had asked them if they wanted to go down there with me because I wanted to text them back, and no one wanted to go down there with me. So, no big deal. It was a 3-block walk. I was just I'm just gonna go down there. So I had walked down there, and I was I'll be back in 10 minutes. And I went down there, and I was sitting on the dock. At night, it was probably 10 p.m. It was dark outside, and I was sitting there on my phone just texting him and stuff, and this guy came up to me while I was sitting on this bench on the dock, and just started asking me questions. Started asking me what sports I was in, just normal. He could tell I was super young because I was 13 at the time. So I'm sure I was just talking about my sports and stuff, and I was really shy back then, so I'm sure I didn't really say a whole lot. But he ended up sick because I told him I was in gymnastics, and I remember him saying, "Oh, so you must be really strong then." And throughout the conversation we were having, I don't ever remember feeling like scared by any means. I kind of was just ignoring him because I just wanted to like text my boyfriend and whatever. So I'm not going to go into a whole lot of details, and I'm going to keep it more surface level, but he ended up like ripping off my clothes and he threw them in the lake, and he raped me, and he told me, like, I tried to obviously fight back at first, and he told me that if I like screamed because I was trying to, or if I went and told anyone or said anything about it, that he was gonna, like, he threatened me and my family and threatened to kill us. And like obviously like as a 13-year-old little girl, I don't know if he knows my family, you know, like I didn't know who this guy was at all, don't know his name, don't know what he looks like, don't know like not a single thing about him. I couldn't even like pick him apart if like 3 people were put in front of me to know which one he was. Like if I had to guess, I would say he was probably like in his 20s, upper 20s probably. So like definitely old enough, he knew what he was doing. Like, so it was just after that happened, and I mean, like, I just did what he said. I didn't fight back. I literally listened to everything he told me to do. And afterwards, he just left me there, and I found my phone, like, on the dock, and I turned my flashlight on. I grabbed my clothes, and, like, they were soaking wet because they were in the lake, and I had to walk back up to the the cabin like that. And by the time I got back, everyone was sleeping, and I literally just went to bed, didn't say a single thing about it. And honestly, from that day on, I just, like, you try and, like, put it, like, in your past and just, like, forget about it and, like, block it out. It's, like, literally, like, since I was young, I, like, had looked up so much stuff as I got older, because it's, like, I knew it happened, obviously, but you don't, like, admit it to yourself, and you don't, like, really think about it. The first time I ever actually thought about it was the first time I actually admitted it and told I had a new boyfriend at the time. I was 17. It was the first time I ever said it out loud or even admitted it to myself. So once I said that to him, it was like it kind of felt, I mean, like, it felt good to tell someone, but it's like, it literally, like, felt like so much was, like, lifted off my shoulders to be able to, like, talk about it and just, like, admit it to myself that it happened, and to try and, like, think, like, back and, like, just know, like, the reasons that my life had been affected the way it had, and just to try and, like, know those deeper meanings behind everything, because I was just trying to act like nothing like affected me, and just that I was just a normal girl growing up, and it wasn't. And the reason I got, like, from the time I was 13 to the time I was 15, like, when I turned 15 was, like, the first time I was able to get, like, a gym membership, because you blame yourself, and I blamed myself for forever. I told myself I wasn't strong enough, and I should have been stronger to be able to protect myself, and that was, like, it was my responsibility, like, my job to keep myself safe, to keep myself from something like that happening. And reality of it is it was never my fault. It was never anything I did, anything I said, anything I didn't do. Nothing of it was my fault. It was all his fault. It's never the victim's fault. There's, like, and people, one of the things that people always have tried to tell me is that, or not even me, it's just when I hear people talking about rape in general, people are always like, well, what was she wearing? Or, like, maybe she should have been wearing more clothes, or just, like, maybe she shouldn't have been there, maybe she shouldn't have gone there, maybe she shouldn't have done this. It's like, I've never heard people be like, oh, like, that was his fault, like, he shouldn't have done it, like, why did he feel like, you know, like, they never blame the person that does this. It's always the victim that they're blaming for whatever. When I was 13 years old, I was sitting on the dock texting my boyfriend, wearing sweatpants and a sweatshirt, and I was minding my own business. I did not put myself in any sort of scenario. I did not ask for it. I didn't do anything that invited this to happen. And for people to say that it is the victim's fault, or that a girl or even a guy, whoever it happens to, that they put themselves in that position for that to happen or invited it, that is so far from true. It is the saddest thing when I hear people talk about it, and like for years I just never said anything, just kept myself like out of it and stuff and let people talk. And now I'll speak up and say stuff, obviously, but it's been years since that. So after I told my boyfriend when I was 17, there wasn't really a lot of people I told besides him. Like, very few. I didn't know, not a single person in my family knew, no one. My ex didn't know that I was dating at the time, and that's kind of what ruined our relationship, was because a lot had happened and he didn't know about it, and it just affected me a lot more than I ever admitted to myself. So fast forward through things, this September 8th of this year, so I was out with some friends. It was a Sunday. I had met these guys, one guy earlier on, not here, but at somewhere else. I had never done anything with him, never talked to him much really at all. And they happened to be at my gym that I go to September 8th, earlier on in the day when I was with a bunch of my guy friends lifting, and just said hi. I mean, casual conversation and stuff. I introduced everyone to everyone, and met the guys that he was with. And we had been talking about getting something to eat later and stuff, as a group. And I was like, cool, yeah, that would be awesome. And he basically, so he didn't reply to me for a while. I had gone out and it was a Sunday, so the Vikings were playing, and I was with some of my friends. I literally had one grape ape at Cowboy Jack's downtown Minneapolis at 4 p.m. Didn't drink the rest of the entire night. It ended up being 11:32 at night, and I got a message from one of the guys that was at the gym earlier, and he said, sorry I didn't reply earlier, what are you doing? And I just told him, at the time I was just sitting at the bar I worked at with the manager and then one of my friends from the gym and stuff. It was just us three in the entire bar, I wasn't drinking. And then he was like, well, we're playing games, you can come over here and stuff. And I am a very I'm not trustworthy, but I'm a very when it comes to the gym community, I'm very trusting with guys' intentions with me. I'm always with guys alone, all my guy friends, and I trust them with my entire life. And granted, I didn't know these guys as well, and I hadn't really met them as much, but there's certain things that made me think I had nothing to worry about, and that it was totally safe and fine for me to go over there. So he ended up buying me an Uber from where I was working at the time to this house in St. Louis Park. And I got there, and it was just him, and there was no one else that I saw there. And I remember asking him where everyone was at, and he said there was one other guy upstairs playing games or watching TV or something. And he asked if I wanted to play pool, so him and I started playing pool. And my whole life, my dad's a very good pool player, so he's taught me from a young, I've played pool since I was young, so I'm decent at it, decent enough to know that I'm doing how I should, whatever. basically saying like I wasn't drunk, like, and so we were playing pool, and like I would say we were about like halfway into the game. I don't even know if the game was halfway over, and I started to feel very like dizzy, and like I was literally like seeing like stars, like if you stand up too fast, like that's how I felt. And I just felt like I was like super drunk all of a sudden. I was like having trouble like standing. I remember like trying to like hit the cue ball, and I like missed the cue ball. And I remember saying to him, and I was like, something's not right. Like I feel like I'm super drunk and I haven't even been drinking. Like I'm seeing stars, I'm super dizzy and all this stuff. And he started laughing at me and was like, haha, you're okay, just relax. And I just remember thinking like, what is going on? Like something's not right. And I'm sure I was like scared, you know, because I like was happening so fast and I couldn't even like think of what was going on. And then there's very few things I remember after that. I remember him like carrying me upstairs, like helping me walk upstairs because I couldn't even like walk on my own. I remember him bringing me up to the other guy and him telling the other guy that I had a fantasy, and the other guy said something about like, oh, does she? Like it literally seemed like the most like planned out, like it was like a scripture, like, okay, it's like time to go, like it's go, you know, like she's ready, like that's like what I keep like feeling like it was in my head and stuff, and how that felt. And then I remember one of them asking if I was on birth control, and I told them no because I wasn't. And then I remember this other guy, the owner of the house that I had met just previously at the gym that day, watching, and I don't know if he partook in any of it. I don't know if he was involved. That's literally all I remember of all of it. It's like I remember like pictures, like I could literally paint like 3 pictures of that night, and it's just like seems like little like snapped like photographs of it, and I can't remember anything else. And then the next morning I woke up, it was like 6 a.m. and I woke up in a bed, like in a room that I had never been in, or I didn't even know like where this room was at. And so I woke up and I went to the bathroom and I came back, and no one was in the room when I woke up. And the guy that owned the house that was watching, that I remember, was sitting on the bed, and he like looked at me and he was like, well, that was an interesting night, huh? And I was like before this, I like literally woke up with my clothes on, didn't like have a single clue what had happened. Like I just felt like hours of my life was like erased, but I really didn't even have time to think about it. I like had just woken up, and after he said that, I was just like thought back about it, and I was like, what like just happened last night? And I didn't say anything really to him. I just told him I was getting an Uber home, and I was trying to act like I was like calm about it all. And then he was like, he didn't get like aggressive or mean or anything, but he was just like, no, like stay here, blah blah blah. And then he insisted on showing me around the house, so he showed me around like his house and stuff, and I was just like acting like totally chill about it. And my Uber got there, and I literally like ran out the house and got in the Uber, got home. One guy texted me asking if I had gotten home okay, because the 2 guys flew to where they live because they don't live in Minnesota. And then the other guy messaged me as well, and basically was saying like that was an interesting night. And I was like what happened? I don't remember a single thing that happened, and I shouldn't have said that. I wish that I mean it still worked out, but I was trying to like get information out of him. But even though I literally said I don't know like a single thing that happened, he continued to tell me everything that happened. Like I would ask him a question, and I was like going along with it, like playing along with it, and he answered everything. Like any question I asked, he told me the answer to. And it was like disgusting the way that he described it all and the answers that he gave to it. And honestly, if it wasn't for him telling me that happened, I honestly put up, like, I would have never honestly known what happened that day. Like, I was sore the next day, but I didn't have, like, any bruises. I didn't, like, nothing really. Like, it just felt like literally hours of my life had been taken away. But it took me a while to, like, realize and fully understand what had happened. I, like, told some of my friends, like, my really, really close friends, and they kept, like, they just right away, like, asked, like, are you okay? Like, they started freaking out, and I was like, why is everyone asking, like, if I'm okay? Like, I'm fine. I literally just was trying to tell them, like, what happened, and I was trying to, like, make sense of it. And one of my friends told me, like, Haley, you would have never done anything like that. Like, you need to go in and get tested. Like, I think that you were drugged. And, like, it took that, like, him saying that to me for me to realize, like, something happened. And I ended up going to Planned Parenthood because I needed to take a Plan B. I knew because he told me what happened, and he said that both of them obviously, like, did whatever they did with me. I don't know. So I went to Planned Parenthood, got Plan B, and they have to ask you, like, why you want the Plan B. And I just, like, broke down, like, hysterically, like, crying, and I told them everything that happened, and I had, like, nurses, doctors, counselors, like, everyone, like, come in there, and everyone was talking to me, and, like, it was the hardest day of my entire life. Like, that day I, like, realized no matter, like, what you do, no matter how hard you work to be stronger, to be able to protect yourself. Like, I had worked 6 years of my life at this point to be able to protect myself from this happening, and I felt like I let myself down, and that everything I just did for 6 years was a waste. And that ultimately, like, broke me, and I tried so hard to just tell myself, like, that it wasn't my fault, and that, like, that I don't know, that I was going to be able to make it through it, like, just like I had when I was younger. And it was so hard this time. Like, I never expected it to be this hard, being, like, older and having gone through it. But it just literally proved me wrong with everything. And it was difficult because it's like I wanted to say something about it, and I wanted to do something about it, but if I did, then my parents, my family would have to know everything, and my parents would have to know everything that happened to me when I was younger as well. And I just, like, wasn't ready for that. I did not want to talk about it. I didn't want to do anything with it. I wanted to leave it and just, like, try and move on. And I was trying to figure out, like, the doctors and counselors were telling me, like, you're gonna have to do whatever's best for you, whatever's gonna heal you. And so I knew that I needed some time to think before I just made a decision to, like, act and either report it or not. And so I ended up not, and months went by, and I was hearing stories of it happening to other people, other women, with these guys. And my mom called me one day and told me a story about one of my family members and how, like, rape and stuff has affected one of my family members, and it's been years and years. And, like, for me to hear that, it just broke my heart, because I know that I'm very strong when it comes to this stuff, and I've had to, like, learn how to cope and how to, like, get myself to be able to, like, push past this and, like, know that it's not any, like, my fault or anything, and to come out stronger from it. But hearing that it had affected one of my family members for so long, like, just broke my heart and just made me realize that I have a say, and I have the power to be able to do something about this and to be able to prevent it from happening to other people. And it just, like, showed me, like, that's what I needed to do. And that day I told all of my family. I told my mom, my dad, my siblings know, everyone knows. I told some of my friends, and it's kind of gotten around a little bit, but I mean, I'm not ashamed of any of it. It's literally what has shaped me to be who I am. And I think that this is the whole subject of rape is so avoided. It is not talked about in schools. I had never been told anything about rape. I had never been shown any steps of precaution or anything to be aware of or to know, or signs of things. I had no idea of anything. And when it comes to it, people are very private and just act like it doesn't happen, or that it didn't happen, or that victims make it up or something. This is the last thing that probably anyone would want to make up. I will tell you, it was the hardest thing talking to my mom and my dad about this, and most of all my little brother, seeing him cry and knowing how hard it was for my family to be able to process that and to find that stuff out, and for my dad to probably think that he didn't do his job protecting me or something. That's the last thing that anyone wants to tell their parents, and it's the last thing that I would ever want to make up in my life. It has I've tried for years and years and years to tell myself it hasn't affected me, and that I am just strong, and that I can just get past it on my own and stuff, but that's not true. It has affected everything. It has literally affected my relationships more than anything in the world, and most of my exes didn't know or didn't understand, and it just it truly is the most traumatizing thing I've ever been through and probably will ever go through. And the fact of the matter is that there's so many people out there that have that go through this, and until you bring it up or start talking about it, other people don't really tell you about it. But since I have heard so many stories of people going through similar things, or just the abuse and sexual abuse and sexual assault, anything, and it's so sad to hear this, and to know that these people have kept it in their whole entire lives. And I've come across that so many times recently, that people just haven't talked to anyone, or they have kept it in, and just it's so freeing to be able to tell people about it and to have that support system, because you need that. If it wasn't for my family and my friends that I've had going through this, I don't know how I would do it. And to go through, because I did now report it, it would be the absolute hardest thing. I cannot imagine not having people through this and having support. And if you have been through this, or you know of someone that has and they haven't talked to somebody about it and they want to, or you think that it would benefit them to talk to someone, by all means, please. I would literally love to meet up with them, or talk to them, or call them, or anything. If they want my number, I'm always here, and I've been through it more than a few times. I know what it's like, and I know how hard it is to be on your own with it. I did that for 4 years of my life, being from 13 to 17 years old. I had, not that I didn't have anyone to talk to, but I just didn't. Did not talk to anyone about it, and ever since I have, it's literally part of me now, and it's something that literally has made me so strong, and it's something that has made me so aware. I feel like I'm so much more able to be aware of things, and to know what's going on around me, and to try and protect myself. And you shouldn't have to protect yourself everywhere you go, but just to be cautious of these things, and to know that it's never your fault. That's one thing that people need to realize, and to need to know and understand. It's never the victim's fault in this. And since I've been more open about it, I have spoken up about that more, and I used to let people just be like, you shouldn't have been wearing, like, never in either two of these situations have I been wearing anything revealing, and that's why I'm kind of more like open about posting stuff wearing that, because it's like these things have happened to me when I'm wearing like sweatshirts and sweatpants and literally completely covered up. Like, this stuff is going to happen regardless of what you're wearing. What you're wearing does not matter. You should be able to show your body and not have to worry about people taking advantage of you, drugging you, and putting you through this. Like, for anyone to be able to do this, it's the most, like, it's the hardest thing to go through. And I seriously, like, I want to get this out there, and I want to tell people, and I want people to be able to come to me. I want people to stand up to it and for it. Like, I was doing research, and the amount that goes unreported is, like, I wrote it down and stuff, and I have it somewhere, but the amount that goes unreported is absolutely crazy and sad. And it's not just to females. This is 100% not directed towards just males. Like, it goes both ways. Males can be raped as well. And the main reason that people, and why I didn't report it, is because these guys are very well known. I don't think that I can say their names, so I'm not going to, but if you know who I'm talking about, and you know of anything, because I've heard so many people say that they have done this before, or they are still doing this. Like, if you know who I'm talking about, or you personally, like, ask me, I will tell you. And please, like, if you know anything, like, that's part of my purpose of this video, as well as talking and getting it out there. But if you know anything at all, like, please, please, please come to me and share it, or stand up for yourself, because it's not, I 100% truly believe in my heart that this is not their first time doing it to me, like, to anyone, and I don't think it's going to ever be their last, unless something happens to them or they get put in jail or something. And to me, like, them going to jail, like, they're getting, like, they very well could go to jail, and it's under investigation and stuff right now, but, like, jail time doesn't matter to me. I don't care if they really go to prison. Like, I don't care about any of that. The only thing I literally care about is protecting others, because I've been through it too many times. I know how much of a toll this takes on people and how much it affects people, and I know that not everyone is able to deal with it as well as I am, and I know a lot of people don't have the support that I do, and, like, I could not do that if I didn't have this in me to be able to do this, because it's so much. And, like, just please, if you know anything, come to me and say something. But my whole purpose of this is just to get it out there, and don't, like, I know that there's so many young girls around, and some young men, boys too. I have had multiple of my guy friends have been through this as well. And I want everyone to know, and I want kids that are in high school, middle school, preschool, whatever, I want them to know that none of this is ever their fault, and don't ever let anyone tell you that it is, or that you put yourself in that position, you didn't do anything, that you didn't do something right, or you did something wrong. You deserve this to happen to you, because no one deserves for this to happen to them. And if someone's telling you that, you need to stay far away from them, because they don't care about you, and they don't love you, and they don't see that value and worth in you, because you are worth so much more than what people like this do to you. And it's nothing that you did wrong at all. Like, don't be afraid to talk about it. I never thought that I'd be going to a counselor, or, like, need one or anything. Like, going to a counselor and seeing someone and talking to someone has been the best thing I've ever done for myself. And I probably will continue to do it for the rest of my life, just because it's, like, helped me so much. It helps you see, like, why you think the way you do, why your relationships are the way that they are, why you can't get over something, or why you like always expect certain things from people. Like they had told me that my like main thing is how I like have these like stories already made up in my head about how, you know, like say like a guy came into my life and said something certain to me, and I was like, maybe he said like, oh, I want you to come over, like it's just me home alone, I've never met him or something before. Like that would be like, oh, me confirming like, oh yep, I know he wants one thing, I'm not gonna go over there. But really maybe he wants to make me dinner, you know, like that's me assuming the worst with that, because that's just how I've always been. And it's, I mean, like it sounds crazy, but what happened to me when I was 13 was like the best thing that ever happened to me, and I wouldn't take it back for anything. It's made me so much stronger and made me know what I want, what I don't want. Like it's literally shaped me into who I am, and I would not have any of the strength, any of the willpower, any of the determination or the like structure and routine that I have with my life, and just knowing like the gym for me is, that's why like the gym has always just been my like outlet. It's been like my safe haven. Like it's just where I go. Like I feel so safe at the gym, and that's the only place where I can go where I just feel like I'm okay, and like I can just relax and not be thinking all the time. And it's weird, but over the years, like I get super bad headaches all the time because my brain, like doctors have done tests and stuff on me, and my brain doesn't work the same as like most like normal people because of what happened when I was young. So like it's always like my brain's basically like working in overdrive because I'm scared all the time basically, like, and I'm always like watching my surroundings, like I'm overly aware of what's going on around me, which it's saved me a lot from a lot of things happening. But I mean, it's, you can take it how you want, and that's another part of this is like, to me, I'm a firm believer in that God doesn't put you through something or put you in a certain situation that he knows that you can't handle. He will always give like his strongest warriors his hardest battles. And I'm also like a firm believer in that you need to be able to, like, as not for everyone as you're going through something, but I try to, as something's going on, or like I'm going through something in my life, I always try and see, like, I will literally think about every little thing, and I'm like, okay, like what am I supposed to learn from this? What am I supposed to take away from this? And like how am I supposed to like apply this to my life, or like try and take that and like change something, you know, like what is there to, like, what good is going to come from this, and what's the lesson to be learned? How am I going to move on from this? What steps do I need to take that are necessary for you to like heal and be better and be able to be yourself and still give to the world? Like, don't seek revenge for this kind of stuff. Like, that'll never help you heal, and it's never ever helped me heal. But to be able to help others is what's helping me be better and feel better and overcome this. So I hope that this is in some way helpful to anyone out there, and if anyone has anything to say or ask questions, I probably am going to do like either like a live on Instagram. Otherwise I will let you guys ask me questions. I think I'm gonna probably, I don't even really know how to do like video stuff, but I think I'm gonna like probably post this on like YouTube or something, and I am going to probably link it on Instagram. Otherwise I'm gonna try and do the IGTV thing, but IGTV I think this might be too long for that. So I will put it out there, and just know also that it's okay to share stuff like this. Like, be vulnerable and tell your story, because your story is powerful, and it is so empowering to be able like open up with this, and to be able to tell people, like show people what's made you you, and why you're so unique, and all the battles and struggles that you've been through, and how you've come out stronger. So thank you guys so much for listening, and I hope that this can bring anyone some sort of closure or light, or give someone answers to why they feel the way they feel. But please don't hesitate to reach out, and I'm always here. Love you guys.